one thing that, of course, folks may or may not have heard about is this parachute feature on the Cirrus aircraft. And you know, when you first hear that, you might think, well, that just means that your people flying your aircraft will strap on a parachute like they do in the military, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what that feature is actually about? Because it's very intriguing to me.
Sure. Well, Cirrus was one of the first production aircraft built back in the early 2000 that had an integrated parachute system. What I mean by that is that the entire aircraft is under canopy if there should be a problem. So the occupants in the airplane simply get in, put on a seat belt like you would with any other aircraft, except that if, in this case, if there should be a critical emergency that would necessitate the activation of the parachute system, the entire airplane comes down under the canopy and lands, and the occupants get out and walk away. That's happened numerous times over the last several years for various reasons, from weather encounters to pilot incapacitation, things that have happened in other aircraft as well, but didn't have necessarily a successful outcome.
Steve, so it was great to hear about the parachute, and you know, we were able to run a little clip of people actually seeing what this means to have this plane coming down on a parachute. It almost looks like a little toy plane you might buy in a toy store and throw up in the air and have come down on a parachute. This is actually the real plane coming down on a parachute, and you know, thanks to the people at Cirrus building this feature into the plane, you know, allowing people to walk away and fly another day or get to some help if they need to.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the other safety features on the Cirrus aircraft, particularly that led to you selecting that aircraft for your operation?
Sure. Well, there's a few legacy features that have been in the Cirrus aircraft for quite some time, and that is, one is traffic alert notification. One of the common problems, of course, for a student pilot or anyone else learning to fly is trying to watch for other aircraft. And while that's still necessary in the Cirrus also includes an automated system that will audibly, verbally tell you of traffic alert, as well as visually on the computer screen that you have in the cockpit. So traffic alert notification. There's also terrain alert notification if you're flying in a mountainous area at night, or in instrument conditions where you're in a cloud and you can't see what's in front of you. The aircraft can tell you if you're in an area where terrain might be a threat. And then the other feature is continuous weather availability using XM weather services, so that along the route of flight for a trip, you can then superimpose NEXRAD radar images of weather patterns that might be a threat to the aircraft. So in many ways, it's increasing situational awareness for the pilot. It's giving the pilot that extra set of automated eyes that helps them to avoid the types of scenarios that in the past would have potentially caused an accident. It reduces the hazardous situations, if you will.
I wanted to talk with you about the use of aircraft by corporations for their transportation needs. I mean, why can't you just go ahead and use commercial aircraft? I mean, there's lots of airports around, all the airlines are hurting for money. Why should you have your own aircraft? I mean, can you help us sort of address that hot topic right now?
Absolutely can. First of all, it's a challenge not to do it with light aircraft. Let me give you a practical example. We have a customer in Danbury, Connecticut. To get there by commercial flight takes you about 5 hours. To get to Westchester, New York, which leaves us 60 miles yet to travel. You have to rent a car. You have to get there. You fly when they fly, not when you want to fly. If we go in the Cirrus, it takes us an hour and 30 minutes, and we're there. We go when we want to, we come back when we want to. So it isn't a matter of justifying, it's more nearly a matter of allowing us to increase our productivity to turn what could be a 2-day trip into actually a 3/4 of a day trip.
And that makes a big difference as well to your ability to conduct your public service as well as a delegate.
Absolutely the same case in terms of serving as a delegate, because not at all unusual to do business calls in the course of the day in one city in Virginia and have a speaking engagement or other engagement that evening and still be home that night.
Absolutely. So it sounds like, although obviously the cost in general of to my understanding or estimation might be a little more for actually using your own aircraft, your main gain is that productivity. It is the ability to take a 2-day trip and then scrunch it down to like maybe a 3/4 of a day trip, plus being able to fulfill some of your public service commitments, which we appreciate your public service. Steve, could you talk us a little bit about, for a business or a company that might be thinking about, how can they save time and money on their business travel? They might have a CEO that's thinking he can make more business calls by using light aircraft. What type of help can you offer him to make that decision?
Well, it's, as in most cases in business, everything has to be done based on what is best business case for that particular operation. And today, for example, we have a lot of public information about the misuse of aircraft, or using aircraft during a slow economy is typically how it would be referenced. And I think that this is actually the time when you need to use an aircraft the most. The efficiency that you can gain from use of aircraft, if you look at the actual travel history of a particular business and compare that with airline travel versus corporate travel, you'll find that the CEO's time, the engineer's time, the staff members that are participating in that travel, their time, their productive time that they contribute to the goals of the company, when you dilute that with the time they spend waiting 2 hours to go through security at a major airport, flying to that destination only to get a rental car and driving for 3 or 4 hours to an actual meeting location, and you compare that offset with arriving from point to point in a corporate airplane, the productivity gains are enormous. And so for people that generally don't fly corporate aircraft, they simply look at the $150 ticket on United. But I think the time of the executive and the staff of companies is worth a lot more than that. And the gains that they get within a day by using corporate aircraft far outweigh the loss of income that the company suffers when they fly commercially.
No, definitely food for thought there. So that brings us to a close here with our interview. And Joe and Steve, just want to thank you gentlemen both. It's been fascinating just learning about the use of aviation in business. It's been fascinating to learn about the safety features of the Cirrus aircraft today. So definitely next weekend, August 29th, is going to be a great time at the Leesburg Executive Airport Open House to come and see the Cirrus aircraft for yourself. And I'm sure that Steve and his colleagues will be available to talk with you if you've thought about using aircraft for your business or just for enjoyment, for recreational flying. There's a lot of wonderful experiences to be had here, and I hope you really will come and see us at the open house on August 29th. Thank you.